I'm engaging in avoidance behavior on this question because I'm not quite sure how to answer this. I'll
Yeah,
put
maybe
it out
move on
there.
to the next one.
I'll put it out there anyways, and we can discuss it a little bit. I think I just need more information. So, the person is saying that there's more clients being diagnosed with ASD, and there's a section on pathological demand avoidance. So, I'm not sure if she's saying that her clients with ASD are also being diagnosed with pathological demand avoidance, or whether this is two different people with different diagnoses. Anyways, in doing research, there's comments about intervention strategies for ASD not working with individuals with pathological demand avoidance. And in following our BCBA guidelines and using evidence based strategies, how do you move forward at this time?
So pathological demand avoidance is like a subtype of ASD.
Got it. Okay. So I've not heard that term before. I've heard oppositional defiance disorder, which I would imagine would be similar.
But that's
Um,
a separate category.
that's a totally separate category. Okay. So I think what you need to do is you need to look and say, okay, so if ABA doesn't work with PDA, look at those for acronyms. If ABA doesn't work with PDA, what specific part of ABA doesn't work with PDA? Because there's so many different types of ABA. So there's the, part of ABA that is, sit down and do what I say and do it now. And when you do it, then you can have external reinforcement. But there's also other parts of ABA like PRT, pivotal response training, that is like, hey, I'm going to build fun things into what we're doing and get the motivation high because we're doing this. And you're not working for external reinforcement. You're working for this because this activity is motivating in and of itself. There's also manned training that is, supposed to be motivating in and of itself because if a student requests something, they get that something. So looking at the different parts of ABA. So when you've got research that says ABA doesn't work, my question would be, well, what type of ABA? And are do work or what does work with with these types of individuals, because in my opinion, I define ABA as breaking tasks down into smaller components and taking data on those components. We do a baseline and then you teach, and you take data along the way. So if your data is telling you your approach is not working, change your approach, still take data on it, and look at the data and make those data-based decisions. And to me, that's ABA.
And I think I might know the type of profiles that you're referring to. It's almost like if ABA determines like, okay, well, if it's a function, the function is escape, then we're going to reinforce the opposite of escape and put in a reinforcement system and all that stuff. But then there are these students who no amount of anything that you put in place is going to override their motivation to just be stubborn or to do things their way or to have things be the same all the time. Like that kind of internal motivation is very hard to override with the like external ABA strategies. In those situations, what I would say is use the individual, like work together with that individual. And we're looking less at the behaviors and more than at the private event. So we're talking about, well, why are these private events resulting in these behaviors and how can you work with the individual to potentially change the private events and why would he want to change the private events. So sometimes teaching them about why it's important to be able to talk, to be more flexible, and to tolerate other people's perspectives. Even if you don't agree with it, you're never going to agree with it. But why is it important to try to at least not have these behaviors? So working on the private events with that individual, I really like the ACT stuff. If you're familiar with ACT or getting some training in ACT, I think for this type of population, it's really important because it goes a little bit deeper than just the behaviors and reinforcement and visuals and things like that. And it really gets into more of the why. And that's really important for these kind of students who, no matter what you give them, like they just, are more stubborn. Um, but it's still, I think it still falls within some sort of typical intervention. Um, and I think it's within, the greater umbrella of ABA. But I don't think that no ABA strategies would work, but I'd be interested to hear more from other people who may have similar experiences.